podcast and stuff. Once again, my name is Larry Lawrence. The name's so nice, they named me twice. Yes, we are here in the ring of life. We're here for you, for my people, wherever you may be, in parts unknown, all over the world. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. And get the premium account so that way you can get me all day, every day with music. I don't know. I just want a sponsor. Maybe that'll help. Anyways, no, it won't help. It doesn't matter. All I know is this. Welcome to the most interesting, unique perspective that you will get on professional wrestling. But there's more. Really? Yes, really. There is a additional way to listen to this show, because we don't just talk about pro wrestling. So yes, there's an actual, that didn't sound right. There's not an additional way. There is more than just professional wrestling on our show. That sounds a lot better. Just didn't sound grammatically correct. I wasn't the best in school, but I definitely tried. Like in art class, when you got finished and they looked at your final project and they looked at you and they go, that's a good try. That's me in school. Larry tried, but he wasn't always the greatest at doing things. Mom even helped me with reports, but I think she pretty much did my homework. Thanks, Mom. Anyways, so I'm here bringing you entertainment. Not to say entertainers are dumb. We just know how to delegate. Like I tell my business partner what to do in regards to this show. Not really. Anyways. Where were we going with this? Anyways, the show's called Larry's New Wrestling Podcast and stuff. So what we do is we bring you subject matter like COVID 57, 19, hut. Once again, it is a very interesting time in our world. One of the most unique times in the history of our lifetime, where you have to wear a mask normally as you go outdoors in public around town. You don't have to wear them in your car, but I've noticed when people drive by themselves, they still wear them. They must be afraid of getting infected by the person in the passenger seat that doesn't exist. Anyways, we've become accustomed to wearing it. That's the whole point of this. Maybe we do have germs, or maybe the last person who sat in your car had COVID and you didn't know, but they didn't wear their mask. Who knows? We don't know anything about this. So maybe it is a good thing you wear it in your car too. My bad. Retract the statement. Anyways, that was me going in reverse. Anyways, all I know is this. That was just screeching tires. Anyways, the whole point is this. Is there a point? Yes, there is. We have to be careful. We have to host our own party as if we don't want anything to break. We don't want anything in our house to get broken. So you don't invite anyone over to your house because it's not your house. You see how that works? Even if you're paying rent and they say, don't bring anyone over, but you still live there, you listen. I'm just saying. Anyways, the whole point is this. We have a show that has messages. We have an attitude of gratitude. We are appreciative of everything that 2020 taught us, and 2021 we will learn how to coexist with this pandemic. We have to learn, otherwise things are going to be bad, and you know what's going to hit the fan. And if you don't prepare mentally for this new year, you won't physically be able to overcome some of the obstacles that may come our way. I know, because I've overcome drinking. I'm 2 years plus sober. I'm happy to share that I continue this path because I don't see a reason to go back to something that didn't work. So for each person out there dealing with drinking problems, there's always help, there's resources, and there's also internal and spiritual, which I really found my true happiness. It wasn't through AA meetings. It was through like an epiphany in my head. something that made me reflect on where I was going, what I was doing to my body, my mind, my soul, to people that love me, and strangers I didn't know. I was destroying relationships left and right. But that was my decision. And now I accept responsibility for all the things I've done wrong, whether they were warranted or not. I still believe that there is a lot of people out there that are going to learn how to become better people this year. There are people that are alive that didn't get taken by this COVID. And for those of you that had loss of life within your family, I pray that you have found inner peace within yourselves too. For those that lived through seeing someone you loved and you had to see them go through a plated glass or something because you couldn't be in the room with them because of the COVID, because of this disease that we have no idea what it's all about. We just know in the last year, and some change now, it's been a little over a year of dealing with this. And we're still, as small businesses, people that own party stores or own anything, we have a party store, by the way, in the Midwest. It's something that I learned about when I was visiting there, that they're basically places of business. They're like liquor stores and grocery stores, but they call them party stores. Anyways, to all those people that own businesses, the whole point is this. I wish you continued success no matter where you are, what part of the U.S., what part of the world you're dealing with, corporates, all of you. We all got to get through this together. Let's just hope the corporates don't cut out the little people, us hardworking people, because of loss of revenue. Let's hope Wall Street doesn't go crazy on GameStop anymore or whatever it is that we're getting into nowadays. It's all a ripple effect, folks. We have to, and by the way, Ripple milk is a good one for those that are lactose intolerant. Just want to cheap plug the Ripple just in case they want to sponsor the show. Anyways, it's the milk I drink. Anyways, but the whole point is this. We try our best to learn. Go vegan. You'll see an improvement in your lifestyle. Anyways, the whole point of this is, folks, we're going to go on 8,000 different directions. If you need a beverage right now, have a beverage. Take a break, okay? Take a break. Have a beverage, okay? See that? You can't do that on regular talk shows with your guests. I mean, they do have a drink, actually. They let you sip. Like Dave Letterman used to have a mug. You never knew what was in that mug. It could have been vodka for that guest. You never know. But the whole point of, well, they made that face after they drank it. Then you know that's vodka. But if they just drink it like it's water, anyways. The whole point is this. You have to focus on this new year with an attitude of gratitude. You have to learn that we have so much more to accomplish. And let's just hope Tom Brady doesn't win another Super Bowl. Yep, that's called a segue, folks. We're going to talk about the NFL now. Pretty boy Tom Brady, age 43, originally from the Bay Area, my hood, California. I know people that went to high school with him. Said he wasn't very nice. But for those of you that love him, whatever. That's my other podcast, which we haven't been doing much of lately, which is unfortunate. But you know what? I'm busy. I do have a life outside of this ring of life that we hang out in. Not much of a life, but hey, at least I go out every once in a while. Try not to be in surroundings for too long. Maybe go out with nature when the weather, for those that are suffering with weather issues all over the U.S., please be careful. Please be safe. Drive safely on your wet roads, snowy roads, any road. Just don't fall in a ditch. And be careful, because you just have to keep a good distance from each other, from the car in front of you, no matter what condition it is. Rain, snow, at least 4 to 5 car lengths between each other. And we won't get in an accident. I'm just saying, don't go too slow, otherwise you'll get a ticket. And you'll have to fight it, which I am. Whole nother show, folks. Not this one. Just wanted to share. But what we can do is tell you that this show, we're going to let you know that Tom Brady is going against KC's Patrick Mahomes. Last year, he beat the world champion 49ers. This year, can he defeat the older man? To football standards, he's old. But to the standards of, dating younger women, he's still considered young. I'm just saying. But the whole point is this: Tom Brady is still considered one of the greatest of all time. But the thing is, with Joe Montana, the greatest of all time, he did not play during Terry Bradshaw's. Terry Bradshaw was a Pittsburgh Steeler who won many Super Bowl rings. But see, the steel curtain and all kinds of hitting took place. That was before they realized that this head trauma can cause future trauma, which Junior Seau committed suicide. CTE is real. So I experienced it, a guitar shot to the head and trauma to the head. I had forgetfulness, and I still do every so often. But you know what? You have to, I just forgot. Anyways, the whole point is this. That was a little bit of humor just to, but you know, it's a serious problem. You don't want to impact your head too much. So the NFL took precautions, but I think sometimes they take too many precautions because Tom Brady doesn't get hit. And it's like almost like the offensive line always protects him from evil. And I just don't feel like that they're that powerful enough to where he can't get sacked day after day, week after year, or week after week, year after year on the NFL field. See how I did that? Yes. He should be tackled. He should be hit because that's what he signed up for. Just like in professional wrestling. It's scripted now. They try to not take chair shots to the head because they hit him on the back. You watch a show. Nobody takes the chair shot anymore. I think AEW is doing the same thing. They take it serious as well. That this is not an area that you just go kaboom. But back in the day, you watch any 70s or 80s wrestling, folks, you're going to see 60s, 70s, 80s. You're going to see barbed wire in the 90s. You're going to see chair shots at EC, F, and W. Okay? You're going to see hardcore wrestling, but even before hardcore, think about it. Pat Patterson and Sergeant Slaughter in an alley fight. We just spoke about the late great Pat Patterson on our previous episode. These individuals took chair shots. They took aggression out on each other. There was a collar match, which we're going to talk about on this show, because the showcase of our show, we're going to segue back into it, is the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper. But folks, before we get to the Hot Rod, we have to finish up on the NFL and your Super Bowl predictions. Do you think the old man can win? Well, I'm guessing right now, you know what? Speaking of, I want to look it up right now because I want to know what the odds are, okay? What are the odds for the Super Bowl? I didn't prepare, okay? Let's see what the odds are. For those that want to invest, who's favorite? Who's favorite? Spread, Super Bowl. You know what? I'm not getting it. What's going on here? This is because I don't invest like that. I want to keep my money, not lose it. Okay, Super Bowl betting odds. Anything? Bueller? Anyways, just bet on whoever. Just do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. I don't care. It's probably who's favorite. Hey Siri, who's favorite in the Super Bowl?
The Chiefs meet the Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55 on Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
Great. I just said who's favorite. Whatever, man. Just pick who you want. It doesn't matter. Anyways, shall we focus on what's important right now? Is that we are dealing with a very serious situation here. I really just got a haircut recently. Seriously. And I just want to ask your opinion. Leave some comments. Please subscribe on YouTube so you can leave a comment about this important matter. Do you like my hair the way it looks right now? If you really want to subscribe and YouTube and iTunes and Spotify and leave comments, we really appreciate your feedback. Hey, I'll email you responses to your questions. I want to get this show to become one of the most biggest phenomenons in the history of professional wrestling podcast shows. There's other options out there, folks, but I know you tune in to our show because we're getting more subscribers. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. We repeatedly want you to share this with family, number one, friends, and complete strangers. And if you want to share them by screaming, have you heard about Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff? That was my normal voice one. Or you got the, oh, yo, that's the Rocky one. You have to use the one that you choose to let others know about our show. Okay? I'm not going to bother you with the bad Rocky impression because I do it every show. Hey, yo! Or like Razor Ramon's, hey, yo. See? Anyways, Razor Ramon was a 1990s wrestler, a.k.a. Scott Hall, who, along with Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool Diesel, revolutionized the sport, along with the immortal Hulk Hogan. That was Vince McMahon's version. Anyways, you see, folks, we go in all kinds of directions here on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. For those of you on iTunes and Spotify, I wiggle my fingers around very fast. So that way next time tune into YouTube and subscribe. See? That's a cheap plug to get you to subscribe. If you own an iPhone, you can subscribe on iTunes and you can go to your YouTube and subscribe there. For those of you with Androids, go to Spotify, subscribe there, and then subscribe on YouTube. See? I'm covering both ends. Oof, that sounded weird. Anyways, let's not go there. It's a G-rated show for the kids to watch. With a little adult humor. If you understood what I was talking about, as my business partner likes to use, good luck. Anyways, hey, buddy, Bird, you're going to get a cheap plug here and there, buddy, since you're not on camera. You're here in spirit in the ring of life. Anyways, remember when we used to do a duo act? I do. Anyways, but the fact is this, he's not here anymore. I deal with it every time I do a show. He's probably laughing right now because he realizes I'm talking about him. Anyways, the whole point is this. The hot rod. We're going to be talking about him. Hey, nice segue, Humbert. Anyways, Piper, who actually performed at the Comedy Store. And I was there to see it in person. Roddy Piper. And I can tell you, a friend of ours, mutual friend, was helping him transition from wrestling, this was in the early 2000s, into stand-up comedy. Roddy Piper's name, his name, and if you made it in show business, they put your name on the Comedy Store itself. So you have your name and a signature on the Comedy Store. Now, Bird and Little Larry, not there. Should have been there, but we digress. We're still working together, and that's all that matters. Because everything else, it doesn't matter. Anyways, the whole point is this. Roddy Piper is on the Comedy Store wall. People might say, oh, that was just because he was famous. He was funny. He was already established. And I think it was the right thing to do anyways. Because if he is of the level that he is, and he performed on any stage, I guess you would say that stage has been blessed with the presence of Roddy Piper. I mean, we're talking about the guy who was in the main event of WrestleMania 1. And if he wanted to perform at the Comedy Store, even though he wasn't a polished comedian, he still is an established name in the World Wrestling Federation. But prior to even the World Wrestling Federation, he debuted with Curt Hennig's father, Larry the Axe Hennig, in the Territory days. And that's where at the age of 15. Now, this guy was born in Saskatchewan, Canada. Okay? And somehow, some way, he's indirectly related to the Hart family. So he says, Brett, well, he said because he passed away. He said that he was an indirect cousin of Bret the Hitman Hart. And I can tell you, Roddy Piper, I want to bring something up here, not about his relationship with Bret, but the fact that he passed away in Los Angeles. And I want to say the proper year. So I'm bringing it up. Yes, it was April 17, 1954, born in Canada. And in July, unfortunately, of 31st in 2015, I remember the day it happened. I was in San Francisco and I had just gotten the news via text that Roddy Piper had passed away. It was a bummer because I had just moved back to the San Francisco Bay literally on July 22nd to start my life again in California. Interesting timing. One of the greats of all time, and I'm trying to start fresh again. And I'll tell you right now that one of the greatest things that I had the opportunity is to actually have a conversation with the man. I had a chance to sit right in the front of the Comedy Store, right next to him in a stool, and have a chat with Roddy Piper. And very down to earth guy. I even tried to get been booked for one of my shows. Unfortunately, that never came to life, but that was due to circumstances, not because I was not important enough. It was just the fact that I just didn't discipline myself enough to keep on it. Because I was living a rock star life. I was very not prepared, even then, for an opportunity with Roddy Piper. I don't point the fingers at anyone except you look in the mirror, like Michael Jackson would say, the man in the mirror. Anyways, I just wanted to say that Roddy Piper was so nice to me. And had I been in the state of mind that I am now, which is a little crazy, but sober, I would say that life would have been different. But we can't live in the past now. And he passed away in 2015. But in 2021, some of the greatest names in the history of professional wrestling are still alive. And his kids are still involved with mixed martial arts. His son Colt and his daughter Ariel was also in the ring recently with Ronda Rousey, who's no longer in the World Wrestling Federation, but she's an MMA fighter and she's in good, I guess you could say, relationship with the family. Great one, I guess, because the reason why she took her gimmick, Rowdy Ronda Rousey, is because of the hot rod. She was a huge fan of Roddy growing up as a kid. She's well documented that. So after she left the UFC after being dominant and then getting her ass whooped towards the end, she segued to WWE, and then she really didn't know how to take care of business. But this isn't about her. This is about the legend, the guys that she emulated. And Ronda Rousey is training the daughter and was working out with her. So we could see a future generation of Piper. And their last name is actually, I want to say correctly, Toombs. So Kitty Toombs is Piper's wife, his widow. And she has given Piper 4 children, it looks like. Ariel, Colton, Anastasia, and Fallon. So 4 kids. Looks like a boy and 3 girls. I believe Fallon is a girl. Let's see. You show a picture. Yeah, she's a girl. Attractive one. Okay. Anyways, the whole point is that Piper has left a legacy. And Roddy Piper, even I was there at the Hall of Fame in 2005. Roddy Piper, and I was lucky enough to be there to witness this speech after Ric Flair just goes to town about the lifestyle. Now, Roddy Piper also wrestled in Puerto Rico in the beginnings of his career. And Ric Flair speaks about a riot that Piper basically started in Puerto Rico because Piper was known for being a heel. And on a Steve Austin podcast, which I listened to with Piper, which is a must listen to, is Piper talks about the fact that he lived the rock star life. And Ric Flair talks about Puerto Rico. And Ric Flair talks about the fact that he ended up really, really giving it just a way to get mad while he basically was going to do the bagpipes La Cucaracha, and he just does all kinds of crazy stuff there to insinuate a riot. Piper didn't care that he could have, his life could, back then fans wanted to kill the bad guy wrestler. Not like today where they know it's a show and they know these are actors, or should I say, entertainers who potentially get hurt. but because of the moniker sports entertainment, they are actors. They're John Cena and Dwayne Johnson. They were Hulk Hogan and they were Roddy Piper. But see, Roddy Piper and Hogan seemingly didn't get embraced in Hollywood like The Rock and John Cena, but they were the originators that did The Nanny, bad movies. Suburban Commando, Hulk Hogan. But one of the cult classics that we're going to talk about is They Live. And I'm going to come back to it because Roddy Piper debuted with Larry the Axe Hennig when they were making no money. And folks, I tell you, Roddy Piper paid his dues. And he was even there with the Hart family and Stu Hart. And he definitely came up in the business. And that WrestleMania 8 match is one of my favorites at the Hoosier Dome, where Bret Hart regains the Intercontinental title. In January at the Royal Rumble, he beat the Mountie with the fake shock stick, which is always funny because they gave it that buzzer noise, like, bzz, bzz. And you're like, dude, is he really getting electrocuted? No, he's not. But the Mountie was this Canadian gimmick that he was one of the Rougeau brothers, and he went on his own as his brother retired and became an announcer. Jacques Rougeau would end up being the Mountie, and he would lose to the Intercontinental Champion. Or he would lose the Intercontinental title to the new Intercontinental Champion, Roddy Piper. Now, Roddy Piper wasn't known for winning belts because Hogan tried to get him to listen. According to Hulk Hogan, he said we could have had some good programs where he would have lost the belt, but he refused. He didn't want a job to Hogan. He always wanted to lose to him, never got pinned. And that's when he came to WCW, he said, that guy never pinned me. And so he put him in the sleeper. And maybe he never pinned him on TV. Maybe he did it at the house shows, but we would never know because the house shows aren't televised. So technically on television, we've never seen Hulk Hogan pin Piper's shoulders to the mat. So when he came to WCW in 1996, which I was a part of Halloween Havoc 96, when he returned, I was there to see it happen. At the end of the match with Macho Man Randy Savage, I was there in person in Las Vegas. I left Great America, my acting job, when they told me, you may not get rehired. My first paid acting job at 18, okay? I was there at Halloween Havoc. I tell you, folks, these things are part of my life forever. And I'll tell you why. The reason why is because I'm a hardcore, dedicated fan who didn't even go to his first live event until he was 16. Because none of my family liked wrestling, and I never asked. I just accepted that we were living in a different household anyways, my sick dad and all. So wrestling live was never part of my life until I was able to go with a few friends from high school. And a couple of friends from high school, and then a few more friends for WrestleMania 12, and then a few more friends for Halloween Havoc. It became a big part of my life where I would travel on planes, go in cars, Cow Palace, Super Brawls. I was spending money, my hard-earned money, whatever way I earned it, on professional wrestling, on T-shirts, on merch. I was a fan, and I invested in WCW and the World Wrestling Federation. Now, during the Attitude Era, it was mostly WCW for me. But Roddy Piper, I went where the wrestlers of the 80s went. I felt that was my loyalty. I grew up on Roddy Piper. 85, he was there with Cyndi Lauper and MTV, debuted rock and wrestling when music, even though Michael PSS says it was the Fabulous Freebirds, which is true, that they started using music, but it didn't become mainstream until the WWF launched WrestleMania 1 on closed circuit. And Vince McMahon invested. He put the mortgage on his house. He took a risk, and he invested in Mr. T and Hogan, mainstream TV, Liberace, Ray Charles singing the national anthem. You know, you doing all that, shaking back and forth with his glasses on. That's Ray Charles. You know, that was Vince McMahon. Liberace, you know, gay Liberace. Hey, you know what I mean? All that. The spectacle of Muhammad Ali, special guest referee, Pat Patterson, who we spoke about the last show, referee of this main event. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T from the A-Team. Hey, boo. He had his own cereal. He was hot. He had his own cartoon. I never ate Mr. T cereal, but I should have. I wish we could still buy it, but I have Captain Crunch again with Ripple milk, so I can, because my stomach. Anyways, for those of you suffering from lactose, go vegan. Anyways, see, I do these things because you're not ready for it. That's why you tune in day after day, week after week, year after year to Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. So Roddy Piper is in the main event with Mr. Wonderful, who wasn't a very nice guy at Halloween Havoc, by the way. He wouldn't stop for a picture. But anyways, I still took it. Got you, jerk. Mr. Orndorff will have you on the show if you still like to, with your new, I don't know, he has a weird mustache like Hogan one with to the extreme. Anyways, but he's older now. Maybe he's nicer, or maybe he's worse. Oof. Well, anyways, the whole point is this. I just said, oof, that's my grandfather. Anyways, the whole point is this. Roddy Piper made sure to have Cyndi Lauper on Piper's Pit and many other places. And Piper's Pit was his segment talk show where he would bring on guests and provoke people like Hogan and Andre for WrestleMania 3. That was established on Piper's Pit. That ended up being at the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit and Pontiac, Michigan, near Detroit, home of the rusty cars. And I can tell you right now, and trucks, by the way, and folks, where WrestleMania 3 took place. Piper's Pit established Hulk versus Andre and many other rivalries. Okay? Even little midgets. All that was established. Gotta ignore you. Sorry. Ignore. Sorry. Can't have interruptions during my show. Anyways, the whole point is this. Is there a point? Yes. We have to have the Hot Rod's legacy forever on the WWE Network because he's a big part of the rock and wrestling era. He had his own cartoon with Hogan. His own because it was technically his too, because he was a part of that group of the Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov. America Hack 2. That was the era I grew up in. They had a cartoon that I watched. Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. It was a real bad theme music, but it was great because it was like Hulk, ding, 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 ding. Anyways, if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to punish you with my version and rendition, but it was fun to watch because it had Andre, the Iron Sheik, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan in the Cadillac driving around with the good guys. It was a fun show, like Hillbilly Jim. And we'll messing with the country boy. I never understood why Hillbilly Jim kind of faded away. Don't you notice that? Don't go messing with the country boy. But he came back in the 90s and managed the Godwins, and then he disappeared again until the Battle Royal with the WrestleMania 17. I'm telling you, I always keep up with Hillbilly Jim. And then they covered his music up in the network. Horrible. Anyways, I go off, folks. You just have to keep up. If you can't keep up, we're going to see you in the rearview mirror because we left you behind. So, folks, what I'm saying about Roddy Piper, he is and always will be one of the most legendary names in the sport of wrestling. Where at WrestleMania 3, he wrestled Adrian Adonis versus basically his career. He was going to retire permanently if he lost, but he didn't lose. And he retired. And he left by shaving Adrian Adonis' hair. And it was one of the greatest segments because Adrian Adonis was like be a lady tonight. You know what I mean? He was sensitive. He had an over-the-top character. You know what I mean? He was like, ooh, hello. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, characters back in the day, they could be whatever you wanted them to be. And it wasn't, oh, we had to be PC. It was characters. They were performing. But some are, you know, hello. But you know what? To each his own. Anyways, nice segue. Roddy Piper leaves to the movie industry. In 1988, we are also going to say it, hopefully not mess the line up. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Something like that. They Live. John Carpenter's They Live, which I finally watched from beginning to end because my business partner invested in it for life. And he wanted me to understand the cult classic, which I've only watched it, bits and pieces here and there, but I never sat down and watched it. It's a kick-ass movie. You need to watch this movie, folks. If you're a wrestling fan and you appreciate the hot rod, watch They Lived. Even though he was in other movies too, which I can guarantee you here, he was in one called, or did I write the other? Oh yeah, the director of the movie also directed The Thing, and I was in a maze in Universal Studios where The Thing, I put a hand out and I used to scare people. That's in the original, not the remake. Watch the original. It's from the 1960s, I believe. It's that time, 70s, 60s, 80s, somewhere in that time frame. Anyways, Halloween, 80s, probably 80s. The Thing, the original Thing. Anyway, 70s, 80s, and Big Trouble Little China. I think that's Goldie Hawn's husband. What's his name? Kurt Russell, I think. Yes. Anyways, Roddy Piper plays the character of George Nada. Now, George Nada is a drifter, and he's looking for work. And basically, he ends up finding work on a construction site. But eventually, he sees some weird stuff happening at this church, and he goes to investigate. He discovers these weird shades eventually, and he ends up putting the shades on, and he can see the alternative people that are in his world, which are walking amongst us, which is planet Earth. Okay, so anyways, I'm just sorry about, for those watching YouTube, I was just trying to show you sunglasses. That's why I kept repeatedly putting them on with my hands. Anyways, iTunes and Spotify, I apologize, but I was annoying the people on YouTube. Anyways, the whole point is this. Is there a point? Yes. Roddy Piper discovers there are people, or maybe not humans, living amongst us. Yes, like alien people, that we can't see them unless we put on these weird shades. Yes. So then he convinces one of his co-workers from the construction site. And I mean, cops are chasing him everywhere, and some of them by foot. But don't you think it'd be easier to chase him with a vehicle? Anyways, the whole point is this. It's a very interesting movie with a lot of not famous people. A guy named Keith David's in it, the African-American gentleman, and Meg Foster. She's also in it. And these people are not really big-name actors. They may have IMDb credits, but this was a movie that's considered a cult classic. But the main character that is well known in that movie is the Hot Rod, because he is from the World Wrestling Federation. And it's one of the coolest fight scenes that you're ever going to see in the movie, with even belly to back suplex. And I'm not going to ruin it for you. All I have to say is watch They Live. Such a great plot. It keeps you engaged and keeps you laughing and keeps you interested in the plot line. It's just a crazy cult classic. Watch it and realize the Hot Rod came back to us. And in 2005, I went to his Hall of Fame ceremony. I didn't go to WrestleMania 21, but I went to the Hall of Fame. And when I got to see him inducted into the Hall of Fame, I felt very much a part of this journey that he'd been on. And he'd done so much for our business. And I got to meet him in person. And he was so nice to me. And I never got the photo, just like Pat Patterson. I just didn't ask. I didn't want to come off as too much of a fan, but I regret. And I probably would have lost that phone anyways, because I was partying too much. And I probably would have lost that picture because I didn't put it in the cloud because I have an Android. Anyways, the whole point is this. Roddy Piper's legacy wasn't just, he spoke from the heart. If you listen to that podcast, and he even had a interview with Rich Eisen, which I saw on YouTube. And he even says that the health insurance, and they complained when Linda McMahon was running for certain political positions. I believe it was the governor of Connecticut or something like that. Anyways, the health insurance thing. A lot of these wrestlers never obviously got it, and they hurt themselves physically, mentally. The sport of wrestling is real. 300 days a year, painkillers, drugs. This gentleman lived only to the age, I believe, of 61. Okay? That's what the sad part is. Yes. Roddy Piper, age 61. Some people might say, oh, well, he lived a full life. Some people might say 61 is still young. Now that we have technology and different health ways of, go vegan, ways to improve our life, I still take my organic protein, amazing green superfoods. I've never juiced, but now I'm finally buff. Yes, I'm happy to say I'm healthy. But unfortunately, Roddy Piper even said he doesn't think he'll see the age 65 during this interview. I believe it was 65. Might have been even younger, but I believe he said 65. He passed away when he was 61. Yep. He predicted it. And the reason why, the wear and tear that these men and women have done for us fans. And the reason why they do it, it's for our entertainment and for the reason why we tune in to watch these people. They give us something. They give us a way to escape. They give us escape from dialysis when your dad's sick. They give you escape from your reality, your handicap. If kids are out there and they can't move their hands, or adults, they're in wheelchairs. They got like tubes going down their throat. I've seen them at the autograph sessions. And when will we'll be able to get that back to that? Kevin Nash, all these wrestlers that are retired and still used to do the cons. When will we get the chance to meet them and greet them again? Will we? Who knows? Will we only be able to coordinate Zoom interviews on Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff? Tune in for those that are living still. Thank you for staying with us. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, okay, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Bret Hart. All these legends are still with us. Diamond Dallas Page. They may be older, but hopefully they're taking care of themselves so they can stay with us another 20, 30 years. Honestly, these legends of the ring, you won't find them in today's current roster. The current roster just, it doesn't give it to us. The Royal Rumble, I just want to give you a quick segue. The Royal Rumble, Edge, age 47, wins the Royal Rumble. Goldberg, age 54, wrestled Drew McIntyre. And guess what, folks? Sting, age 61, returns to the ring this month. He's wrestling the same age as Piper passed away. So if that doesn't tell you that he doesn't need the money, Sting just loves the ring and he loves the business. And they convinced him, and I'm sure with a lot of zeros, to come back. But hopefully now he's going to take the proper precautions not to injure himself. And at age 54, Goldberg could only give us just like one of his matches. This one he loses, but he gave us like one of his quick 5-minute matchups. And I can tell you, folks, they don't need to be doing this still. They can be mentors. They should have tagged him up with Drew McIntyre and took on The Miz and Morrison. But no, they don't write correct storylines anymore because they don't have me on the writing staff. But hey, I'm creative. Well, that's my opinion. And it doesn't matter. It's only what I believe. I believe that we are never going to find a Roddy Piper in today's crew unless they change and build character development. He was a Golden Gloves boxer. He didn't just come up and get a NXT contract. He paid his dues, making no money, fighting guys and getting squashed, going from city to city, no money. And his kids now may be in the ring. But you know what? They didn't also go from city to city. And we can't even now, anyways, because all we have is virtual wrestling, where you have people in LED boxes like me bringing you a show. And you, as an audience member, have to sit in front of your laptop and watch it, like I watch wrestling from afar. I haven't been to a live event in I don't know how long. Why? Even before COVID, I wasn't going. Because I was going, but not as abundantly as I used to. Because characters like Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, who played also Diesel, who played the Master Blaster. I mean, Piper even had characters like the Masked Canadian. You probably didn't know that. And he had something called the Piper Machine before he was introduced with bagpipes and dandelions. And he came to the ring playing bagpipes and shaking hands and high-fiving and giving out dandelions. And he was introduced as Roddy Piper because his name was Roddy. And they said bagpipes, Piper. And folks, from Glasgow, Scotland is where he was billed. The hot rod who wore a kilt, not a skirt, as Bobby the Brain Heenan would always reference. He's wearing a skirt. And Ric Flair and him had some great rivalries. Greg the Hammer Valentine and him had a dog collar match in 1982 in the NWA. Look up the WWE Network. And if you can't find it there, find it on YouTube. Greg Valentine versus Roddy Piper. And watch what real hardcore wrestling was all about in 1982. And 1985, Rock and Wrestling. And 1992, a match against Bret Hart for the Intercontinental title, which gave you good versus good. Okay? And you have a guy who comes back in 96 for a Hollywood backlot match against Goldust. And I was there live at WrestleMania 12. And you have a guy at the Comedy Store who told stories about working in professional wrestling. That is and will always be Roddy Piper, who came back to WCW with a hip replacement and found a way to get me back engaged into wrestling. After the 1990s wasn't so hot, WCW was, and the NWO was. And that segued for me into a life in professional wrestling as Shikasa number one. And I got the chance to work with some of the big names. And I got to meet Roddy Piper in Hollywood. And I got to meet him and have one of the nicest exchanges, not just once, but multiple times whenever I saw him at the store. He was always kind. And I always remember with a smile how nice he was to me. Thank you, Mr. Piper. Thank you for your sacrifice, your blood, your sweat, your tears. And thank you for giving us fan the double poke to the eyes. And the fact that you always gave us a laugh and a smile with your dialogue. And you gave us the smart comments. And you always reminded us over and over again that you whooped Mr. T at WrestleMania 2 during that boxing match because you were a Golden Gloves boxer. Okay? Thank you. Cheers. Salute, if I drank still. But realize one thing. I do cheers to you and your legacy. And thank you for being an influence for getting me to this point in my career and helping me understand that I am the hot Larry, sexy, single, and nobody cares. But have an attitude of gratitude. And as we wrap it up, folks, I think we've done a great episode. And please leave comments. Please subscribe on YouTube. Press that button. iTunes, subscribe on your phones. Spotify, subscribe. And thank you for giving us someone to listen. That didn't make any sense, did it? Someone giving us something. Yeah. You're giving us something. I don't know what you're giving us, but you're giving us something. Or is that me? I don't know. Let's just leave. What do you say? I love you guys. But before we leave, we have to give you our send off. My cousin is going to be playing the guitar shortly, and you're going to hear something about having an attitude of gratitude because our lives are whatever we make of it. Let's just go out there into the world today and simply make it a great one. Once again, folks, thank you for tuning in to Larry's new wrestling podcast and stuff. All right, next time we come, we will have a different subject. So take care. I love you all. Tune in next time. Same bad time, same bad channel. Larry. Okay, take care, everyone. Okay, I'm leaving now. Okay, I'm leaving. Bye-bye now.